Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News. You're with me, Cyrilla Fonseca. But before we head into our stories, first we'll take a look at headlines in detail.
UNP hosts yet another internal meeting to solve internal party crisis. "250 Sri Lankan domestic aides subject to harassment held in detention centres in the Middle East. 24-hour water cut for several areas in Colombo from Saturday morning. Asela Gunaratne ruled out of the T20s against Bangladesh.
An internal discussion of the United National Party began at Temple Trees early today. According to the reports, the meeting is being held to discuss the internal crisis within the party. At the meeting, party leader Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has proposed 2 measures to follow to resolve the crisis. Accordingly, phase 1 is to stabilize the government and phase 2 is restructure the party. The Sri Lankan Bureau of Foreign Employment says over 250 Sri Lankan women were accused on various charges, subjected to torture and abuse, are being held in overseas detention centres. The Bureau said the measures are being taken to bring back this group of women. The Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment said 2,390 women who experienced torture and abuse were brought back to the country within the last year. It added the group of women were brought back from Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. The Bureau said 72,942 Sri Lankan women had left for overseas employment in 2017. 56,109 of these women were employed as domestic workers. The Sri Lankan Bureau of Foreign Employment said the number of women who had left the country seeking overseas employment has reduced in 2017 compared to 82,518 women who left the country for employment in 2016. A spokesperson at the Bureau said it has drawn its attention towards the safety and security of the women employed overseas. It is reported a provincial councillor had closed a road in Ambagasove area in Valimata.
The road in question is Temple Road, branching off from the Ambagasdova first lane. Around 7 families use this road on a daily basis and they claim they have been using it for the past 11 years. A candidate from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna who won the elections visited every house following his victory. Thereafter, UNP Provincial Councillor Upali Samaravira and the group have forcibly closed this road. When contacted, Minister of Agriculture for the Uva province, Upali Samaravira said the road closed by him was one that was constructed by him across his own land. He said the road was constructed for his personal use and added he is prepared to hold talks with the respective locals to solve the matter.
A woman who was hospitalized with serious injuries suffered in the building collapse down Baba Phule Mawatha in Grand Pass yesterday continues to receive treatment at the intensive care unit. Director of the accident ward at the National Hospital, Dr. Shamindi Samarkand, said doctors have amputated one of her legs.
The old building complex, which is owned by a private company, was used as a storage facility. 7 people were killed in the accident and 2 others were seriously injured. Director of the accident ward at the National Hospital, Dr. Shamindi Samarkand, said the other injured victim is gradually recovering. Meanwhile, the Urban Development Authority has launched an investigation with regard to the construction of this building.
UNP parliamentarian Ravi Karnanaka toured in the Kochikade area yesterday.
We would have been happier if we had got a better results than this. But if you look at all other parties as a whole, we have a majority of the power. We were able to win Colombo North and Colombo Urban Council. This is an opportunity to rekindle the cordial ties won on the 8th of January. It is also an opportunity to rectify the mistakes. I think the country will be able to see that not too long from now.
අවස්ථාවක් මම හිතන විදිහට රටට ඔබින විදිහකට වැඩි කල් යන්න ඉස්සලා ඒ උත්තරේ ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි.
Wildlife officials captured the crocodile in the Balapitia coast yesterday. It has been reported consumers have been affected badly by the strike action launched by the minor staff attached to the Galle main post office. The strike was launched citing overtime allowance were not being paid. The strike postal workers claim overtime allowance are paid on the 10th of every month, and this month the minor staff were not paid the allowance. Well, with that, we move on to some more local news. The supply of water in many areas in Colombo will be suspended for a period of 24 hours from 9 a.m. on Saturday. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board said the measures is being taken due to pending essential maintenance in the system.
Chairman of the National Water Supply and Drainage Board, Alauddin Ansar, said the supply of water will be suspended to Colombo 1, Colombo 2, Colombo 3, Colombo 4, Colombo 7, Colombo 8, Colombo 9, Colombo 10 and Colombo 11. He went on to say Colombo 12 and Colombo 13 will receive water under a very low pressure during the 24-hour period. We will disrupt the supply of water from 9 a.m. on the 17th of February to the 18th of February to repair one of the main water pipelines running from the Ambatale water treatment plant to Maliga Kanda. So we are experiencing a low pressure supply of water to certain parts of Colombo such as Marudana, Union Place, Kolpiti, Bambalapitiya and Colombo 7 areas. The supply of water may have to entirely disrupted for the Borella and Dematogoda areas. Thereby, we express our regret to the inconvenience caused to the consumers. We request the general public to keep water in storage and use it sparingly.
The 258th edition of Newsfirst Classroom, a workshop which aims to enhance the medical literacy among school students, got underway at the MD Yapa Mahavidyalaya in Mathura. This morning, a new water purification system was tested with a student of the school under the Gammadda initiative.
The project was launched with the aim of providing clean drinking water to the students and in a bid to create a healthy student generation. The project was financially supported by former chairman of the Sri Lanka Book Publishers Association, Vijita Yapa.
මට මතක් වෙනවා මෙතන මේ ඉස්කෝලේ අවුරුදු 3ක් මම ඉගෙන ගත්තා. ඊට පස්සේ මගේ
I studied in this very school for 3 years. Thereafter, my father sent me to St. Thomas's in Bandarawala. I did not know English back then because this was where I studied. That teacher put me out of the class because of that. The other students nicknamed me Godea because I did not speak English. I told myself I will somehow learn English. Back then, the lights need to be turned off at 8 p.m. at the hostel I was staying in. My friends got together and they are the ones who taught me English. I am happy to say, with the English I learned from my friends, later on, I was able to launch 3 English language newspapers in the country as the chief editor.
මං අන්තිමේදී මේ රටේ ඉංග්‍රීසි පුවත්පත් 3ක් ආරම්භ කිරීමට අවස්ථාව ලැබුණා ප්‍රධාන කර්තෘ.
Thereafter, the Newsfirst classroom workshop took place with the participation of Newsfirst members who engaged with the students with practical sessions.
Finally, some sports news. Sri Lanka Cricket handed over annual domestic contract to 104 players yesterday. The contract were handed over during a special ceremony held at the Duncan White Auditorium of the Ministry of Sports.
The ceremony was held under the auspices of Minister of Sports Dayasiri Jayasekara. Sri Lanka Cricket has invested a sum of 85 million rupees for the selection of players to hand over contracts. A statement issued by Sri Lanka Cricket said players who took part in the major tournament of 2016 and 17 and the under-19 players who represented Sri Lanka in the concluded Asia Cup and the World Cup were handed over contracts. Chaturanga de Silva was adjudged as a player of the league tournament. I always speak about the issue of physical fitness. We have initiated a program for that. Now there are less injuries. We didn't see much of it in the recent matches we played. So if the players at the lower levels build up their fitness levels, we can all move ahead strongly.
Well, this is a wrap of lunchtime news for the day. Do join us again at 1:55 with the very latest.